Let us start with a very basic question. If there is no world government, no global police, no single authority above states, then how does the world function at all? Why isn't the international system in permanent chaos? The answer lies in something we call international order. International order is not about peace or justice. It is about stability. At its simplest, it means regularity and predictability in how countries behave towards one another. When states can reasonably guess how others will act, the system becomes manageable. Order exists when behavior follows patterns instead of randomness. This is why wars don't happen every day, why borders usually remain stable, why trade, diplomacy, and cooperation continue even in tense times. So, international order does not mean harmony. It simply means structure instead of chaos. To understand this better, imagine a bookshelf. Books arranged neatly on a shelf represent order. They can be arranged by subject, by size, by color, or alphabetically. None of these arrangements is objectively better. They are just different ways of creating order. This is the healthy bull analogy. The international system works in the same way. There is no single correct world order. There are multiple ways in which order can exist. Let us break this down step by step. First, the thick and thin orders. The first way to understand international order is by asking, how deep is the cooperation? A thin order is very minimal. It involves basic predictability, but very few shared rules or institutions. Countries don't agree on values. They don't trust each other. They don't sit down to design a system. Yet, order still exists. A balance of power system is the best example. Countries build alliances, counter rivals, and adjust their behavior to avoid being dominated. No one plans the order. No one enforces rules. Order simply emerges from competition. A thick order is very different. Here, the cooperation is deep. There are shared rules, common norms, legal frameworks, and formal institutions. Countries accept limits on their behavior. They agree on what actions are legitimate and which are not. The liberal international order is an example of a thick order. It includes open markets, international organizations, legal norms, and cooperation across security, trade, and diplomacy. Neither thin nor thick orders are automatically better. They are just different ways of organizing global stability. Second is position based and rule based orders. Next, we ask, what actually holds the order together? Some orders are organized around position. Who is powerful? Who is weak? In these systems, stability comes from our relationships. This can be balance, hierarchy, or dominance. Other orders are organized around rules and principles. Here, stability comes from shared understandings of appropriate behavior. Countries follow rules not only because they are forced to, but because they believe those rules are legitimate. In the real world, most orders include both. Power and rules work together. The same order can look power-based from one angle and rule-based from another. Third is regional and global orders. Not all international orders cover the entire world. Some are regional. They operate within specific geographical or political spaces. Examples include European power arrangements or Cold War spheres of influence. Other orders aim to be global. They claim to apply to all states everywhere. Institutions like United Nations represent attempts at global order. They set universal rules, and even if enforcement is uneven, global ambition does not always mean global reality. Many so called global orders work differently across regions. Fourth is general and issue specific order. Another important distinction is scope. A general order covers many areas at once. Security, diplomacy, economics, and conflict management are all included. An issue specific order focuses on one area only. For example, there can be an order governing trade, another governing finance, another governing security alliance. These can exist at the same time among the same countries. International order is layered, not singular. Now, let us talk about how international orders form. International orders emerge in different ways, but two questions matter the most. First, is power concentrated or dispersed? Second, is order intentional or spontaneous? When power is concentrated and order is intentional, we get hegemonic orders. A dominant state deliberately designs and enforces rules. When power is dispersed but order is intentional, we get negotiated orders. States come together, often after major wars, and agree on rules through diplomacy. When power is dispersed and order is unintentional, we get decentralized orders. No one plans them. Stability emerges from competition and adjustment. When power is concentrated but order is unintentional, we get centralized orders. Stability comes from power imbalance itself, not from deliberate design. These are not rigid boxes. Most real world orders sit somewhere in between. Finally, we come to change. International orders do not last forever. They change in two main ways. Revolutionary change is sudden and dramatic. Major global wars, global crises, revolutions, or economic collapses can rapidly destroy old orders and create a space for new ones. Evolutionary change is slow and gradual. Orders weaken over time through dissatisfaction, declining legitimacy, shifting norms, and repeated rule breaking. Often, both processes work together. Slow erosion weakens an order long before a major shock finally brings it down. So, why does international order matter? Because it explains how stability is produced without a world government and why that stability is always conditional. International order is not permanent and it is not universal. It is shaped by power, by shared rules, by deliberate choices, and by historical circumstances. When these elements remain aligned, the system appears stable. Understanding international order helps us make sense of why the world is stable at some moments and fragile at others, why cooperation can persist even among rivals, and why major changes in global politics usually unfold over long periods rather than overnight. In a world experiencing our transitions, institutional strain, and political uncertainty, this understanding is essential, not as an abstract theory, but as a framework for interpreting real world events and long term global change.